Very good evening, everyone online, and good evening again, everyone at Tushita. And welcome to this not medicine, but the Vajrasattva purification meditation practice. So we will start as usual with a short settling meditation before we do the practice of Vajrasattva. And then we'll also try to establish a good motivation for the session. So we can start by taking 3 deep breaths to give us some time to arrive here on the cushion, to arrive in front of our device at home. Try to breathe deeply so that your stomach rises and falls. And as you breathe in, you can try to refresh your attention, your concentration. And as you breathe out, try to completely relax. Next, what we will do is 5 minutes of calm abiding practice, single-pointed meditation, shamatha in Sanskrit. So for this, there are 4 instructions. The first one is to look at our body posture. The best is to sit on the floor, but if you're sitting on a chair, it's perfectly fine. Just make sure you're not leaning against the support of the chair and not leaning forward either. Make sure the back is naturally straight. If you're sitting on the floor, the absolute best is to sit in the full lotus posture, which means each foot on top of the opposite leg. But that might be a little bit challenging if you're not used to it, so make sure you're not forcing your body. You can simply sit cross-legged or in a half a lotus, or even Burmese style with one leg in front of the other. You can place your hands in the concentration meditation mudra, so you have your right hand on top of the left. The 2 thumbs are slightly touching, and this rests on your lap. Allow some space between your arms and your body. The shoulders are even and relaxed, even though the back is straight. Make sure you're not stiff. The neck is aligned in the continuation of the spine. You can very slightly tilt your head forward, not too much, just in the continuation of the spine. You can place your tongue just behind your upper teeth, towards the upper palate. This helps to reduce the production of saliva while we meditate. And finally, the eyes, you can keep them slightly opened, about 45 degrees cast down. Look gazing in the space in front of you, 1 or 2 meters in front of you, but not paying attention to whatever your eyes are seeing. It is the mental consciousness that meditates. Not completely closing the eyes helps to stay alert, not to fall asleep. So out of all these different points, the most important is for the body to be upright. You can imagine there is a string pulling from the crown of your head, keeping your back straight, but naturally straight, not uptight, not stiff. Now for shamatha practice, the second instruction is that we need an object of meditation. What are we actually meditating on? If you're familiar with single-pointed meditation, I would recommend that you keep to the object you're the most familiar with. And if this is new for you, what I would suggest is to take the breathing sensation at the entrance of the nostrils as an object. Try to place all your attention, all your focus at the entrance of the nostrils, and specifically whatever feeling you have there. Perhaps as you breathe in, you feel that the air is a little bit cool. As you breathe out, a little bit warmer. Try to observe that with all your attention. The third instruction is that we tend to get distracted while we meditate. And there are two main ways we get distracted. The first one is called mental excitement. Basically, we are distracted with thoughts, thinking what we are going to eat after this session, or thinking about a meeting we had this afternoon. And therefore, we lose our object of meditation. The second way we tend to get distracted is called mental laxity, or dullness, or lethargy. When we don't put enough application in our meditation, the mind has a tendency to sink. We kind of fall asleep, and therefore we also lose our object of meditation. So finally, the fourth and last instruction is that there are two antidotes to counteract these distractions. The first antidote is called introspection. Introspection is a mental factor you can imagine in the background of your mind that is checking, what is my mind doing? Is it concentrated on my object of meditation, or is it distracted with thoughts or with dullness? And the moment this introspection notices that the object of meditation is lost, we make use of the second antidote, which is called mindfulness. Mindfulness from the Tibetan, we could literally translate it as non-forgetfulness. Basically, we remember our object of meditation wherever our mind is. If it's distracted with thoughts or lethargy, we bring the mind back onto the object of meditation. For example, the breathing sensation at the entrance of the nostrils. And we make sure that we don't forget our object of meditation anymore, that we remain focused on it. It is a little bit as if you had a pet dog at home and the dog runs away. Introspection notices that the dog is gone, and mindfulness brings the dog back home, and you can also imagine tying him against a pillar so that he remains at home. It's a little bit similar to what we are trying to do with our minds. So let us try this for about 5 minutes, trying to remain focused and using the antidotes. gently come out of the meditation. And now that our minds are hopefully a bit more focused, let us try to generate a good motivation for this session. Let us try to generate a Mahayana motivation. Mahayana is Sanskrit for great vehicle. So what makes this vehicle great is actually the motivation. The entry door to that vehicle is bodhicitta in Sanskrit, which translates as the mind of awakening. It is the wish to achieve full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings, without leaving even a single mosquito aside. Now, why do we want to achieve full awakening, and why do we want to benefit sentient beings? When we see around us, even perhaps ourselves, the condition that we are in, the condition that all sentient beings are in. Basically, we are trapped in the prison of our own mind. In Sanskrit, this is called samsara, which translates as cyclic existence. Due to the power of our mental afflictions or disturbing emotions and the karmas that we accumulate, we are constantly, since beginningless time, since time immemorial, circling in samsara, continuously taking rebirth again and again and again, without any control, any choice, any freedom. Whatever body we get, in whatever environment, whatever experiences we have, pleasant and unpleasant experiences, all of this is dictated by the karmas we have accumulated in the past. We don't have any freedom to choose what we are experiencing. Here, all of a sudden, I think it's about 35 degrees maybe in Delhi. All of a sudden the AC might stop, the fans might stop, and we might experience the pain, the suffering of heat. Similarly, all of a sudden, a Purvala might come with delicious samosas. We never know. So this lack of freedom is precisely the misery of samsara that all sentient beings have. The root cause of this situation, this condition, is what is called self-grasping ignorance. This misperception that we have, we apprehend all phenomena, including ourselves, as existing very solidly. We apprehend things as existing in and of themselves, intrinsically, inherently, objectively, independently from our minds. And this holds very true for our own self. We have a very strong sense of I, me, myself. And because of perceiving things existing so inherently, objectively, we also exaggerate the qualities of all the phenomena we apprehend. When it comes to the self, especially, we have this impression that we are the center of the universe. We naturally feel I am more important than others. But if we check, there is absolutely no logic behind this thought. In fact, others are numberless. I am just only one. And others, just like myself, want to be happy, don't want to suffer. So there is no valid reason for this apprehension of the self as more important than others. No, because of that, we do everything to cherish that self. I think now the iPhone 16 is about to come out. So we want to offer that to that self, important self, the center of the universe. We want to possess that. And sometimes when we want to possess something due to attachment, we might engage in all sorts of negative actions. We might be hinting, we might be lying, we might be even stealing. And we have been doing that kind of thing since beginningless time. Every time we engage in such an action, killing, lying, stealing, basically hurting others, we accumulate what is called negative karma. And a negative karma, inevitably, sooner or later, results in a painful experience, an unpleasant experience. Now, as long as we have this self-grasping ignorance, this apprehension of phenomena as existing objectively, truly, from their own side, even the good actions that we do, such as practicing generosity, helping others, these accumulate positive karmas, but they are contaminated by our self-grasping ignorance. For example, you might, see a beggar in the street and give him a note, but this is done with a strong sense of I am giving, very strong sense of giving to that beggar, very solidly existing beggar. So all these good actions that we do accumulate contaminated positive karma that will also inevitably, sooner or later, ripen in the form of pleasant experiences. Such as now, if we don't like the heat, we are enjoying the AC. And maybe if we have accumulated a lot of positive karma, then Apurvala will come with nice samosas, who knows? So we can easily see around us. Perhaps our own situation is not that bad. We have quite a balance of pleasant and unpleasant experiences due to the positive karmas we accumulated in the past. But we can easily see so many people around us suffering from sickness, poverty, violence, war, conflicts, obstacles, you name it. You can also relate to the animal world. You can see the intense suffering in the animal farming industry. Even in the wilderness, we can see that animals are never completely at peace, always on the lookout for some predator. Let us try to generate a sense of compassion for all sentient beings, including ourselves, continuously taking rebirth in the various realms of samsara, continuously experiencing pains and sometimes pleasant experiences without any control, any choice. Let us try to generate the wish for all sentient beings to be free from suffering and the causes of suffering, karmas and the afflictions. No more than that, considering our present situation, let us try to also generate a sense of responsibility for all sentient beings who don't have the chance, the fortune that we currently have. We have what is called a precious human life that is qualified with so many freedoms and endowments. Already being born human is extremely rare. You can see just at the level of this planet. I think at the moment we are about 8 billion human beings. You can compare that just to the number of ants that are living on the planet. Countless ants on the planet, and only 8 billion human beings. So already having a human body is rare, but not only that, we have good mental, physical abilities. We are interested to look inwards, interested to learn about the mind. And more importantly, we live in a world at a time where the Buddha appeared. And the Buddha taught for several decades. And his teachings are still very much available to this day, especially in this digital era. You know, yesterday you could follow the teachings of His Holiness the Dalai Lama live from your computer, from your phone even. So easy, you can read so many sutras, teachings of the Buddha online. And not only that, but there are so many followers of the Buddha's teachings, so many disciples, practitioners, students. So we have a community of people that can help us and can accompany us on that journey. Not only that, there are many benefactors. All the centers around the world, like Tushita, they exist only due to the generosity of so many people. So with all these conditions, we have this precious human life. And it's very easy to see that it's extremely rare. We can, just at the level of Delhi, NCR, we can see about 30 million human beings. And how many in this room? How many online? most other human beings too busy just trying to make a living, trying to survive, dealing with sickness, dealing with so many problems. Animals, they don't have the mental capacity even to, they don't have the brain, to even recognize that they are trapped in samsara. And anyway, too busy to look after food and so forth. So let us try to generate a sense of responsibility by thinking, because I'm so fortunate, I myself will liberate all sentient beings from suffering and the causes of suffering. Now, how can I do that? I'm myself trapped in samsara. I'm myself deluded, constantly controlled by the mental afflictions. If we look in the history of humanity, there was one prince called Siddhartha who actually showed us the way. After thorough learning and investigation and meditation on the middle way approach, he eliminated the self-grasping ignorance from the root by realizing the absence of objective existence, of inherent, solid, true, real existence. And he became known as the Buddha, the awakened one. And the Buddha has perfect power, perfect love, perfect knowledge to guide beings. The Buddha has achieved a state of omniscience to know perfectly how to guide the sentient beings who are trapped in the prison of their own minds. Let us try to give rise to this most beautiful mind of bodhicitta by thinking, may I become a Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. So with this motivation in mind, we will engage in the Vajrasattva purification practice. So this is a practice that involves visualizations, recitations, meditations. So we will gradually go through the different steps, and we can turn to the booklet I will share online. I hope you can see the screen online. So let us start with a visualization. We are on page 5. Try to visualize, try to imagine as best as you can that seated on your right side is your father. On your left side is your mother. Your enemies and the sentient beings who disturb you are seated in front of you. Your friends and those to whom you are attached are seated behind you. All other sentient beings, animals, suras, asuras, pretas, and so forth. They're surrounding you in human form. You're surrounded by countless beings in the form of humans, as far as you can imagine. Then in the space in front of you, visualize the objects of refuge. So there are two ways of doing this, either the elaborate visualization, the one into many, as in the Georgia. So basically you visualize Buddha Shakyamuni in the center, Arya Manjushri, the Buddha of wisdom, on one side, and Arya Maitreya on the other side, symbolizing the method lineage. So we have both the lineages, the wisdom and the method lineages. We are surrounded by all the lineage lamas, Buddhas. You can also visualize your teachers, such as His Holiness the Dalai Lama. All the Buddhas, the 35 Buddhas. You can visualize Medicine Buddha, you can visualize the lamas of the past, all the deities, yidams. Then if this is very elaborate for you, you can simply imagine that all of them are taking the one form of Buddha Shakyamuni. And while trying to maintain this visualization, we will recite the refuge verse together, thinking that we are taking refuge and generating bodhicitta together with all sentient beings that we visualize surrounding us. You can imagine that you are leading them into this practice. So we can recite once in English and then we can chant twice in Tibetan. I take refuge until I'm enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my merits of generosity and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit transmigratory beings. Sangye Chodan Sogye Chonam La Jancho Bado Dagni Gyabsoi Je Dagi Jinsoi Gibe Sognam Ki Jola Penchir Sangye Jobarai Jo Sangye Chodan Sogye Chonam La Jancho Bado Dagni Gyabsoi Je Dagi Jinsoi Gibe Sognam Ki Jola Benjir Sangye Jumbarai Shom. So this was the first of the four opponent powers, the power of reliance. And now we'll engage in the three other opponent powers, the power of regret, the power of reliance, and the power of restraint. So first, the power of regret. Let us recall the definition of negative karma. It is any action that results in suffering. Generally, this is an action motivated by ignorance, attachment, or anger. Almost every action I do, 24 hours a day, is motivated by worldly concern, attached to the happiness of this life. It has been like that from beginningless samsaric rebirths, and it is like this from birth to death in this life. Nearly every action I have created has been non-virtuous, the cause of suffering. Not only that, but I have also continuously been breaking my pratimoksha, bodhisattva, and tantric vows. Worst of all, I have created the heaviest of negative karmas in relation to my virtuous friends by harming their holy bodies, disobeying their advice, disturbing their holy minds, having non-devotional thoughts, and giving rise to heresy and anger. Having all these negative imprints on my mental continuum is unbearable. It is as if I have swallowed a lethal poison. Therefore, I must purify all these negative karmas immediately with the antidote of the four powers. So in this way, try to generate a strong feeling of regret together with the awareness of the need to urgently purify your negative karmas. What we mean by regret here is a healthy sense of regret, not a sense of guilt which doesn't serve much purpose. Here, regret is in the sense of recognizing that in the past I have engaged in actions such as killing, stealing, lying, and so forth, and knowing that inevitably those actions will ripen in the form of suffering. Regret here is basically the wish, not wanting to experience that suffering in the future. Many people my age or younger have died. It is a miracle that I am still alive and have this incredible opportunity to purify my negative karmas. Death is certain, but the time of death is totally uncertain. If I were to die right now, I would definitely be born in the lower realms. Because I could not practice Dharma there, I would remain in the lower realms for countless eons. Therefore, how unbelievably fortunate I am to be able to purify my negative karmas right now, without even a second's delay, by practicing the Vajrasattva meditation. But I'm not practicing this Vajrasattva purification for myself alone. The purpose of my life is to free all hell beings, hungry ghosts, animals, human beings, asuras, suras, and intermediate state beings from all their suffering and its causes, and lead them to the peerless happiness of enlightenment. In order to do this, I must first reach enlightenment myself. Therefore, I must purify all my negative karmas immediately by practicing this Vajrasattva meditation. Now let us try to visualize as best as we can Vajrasattva above the crown of our heads. Here at Tushita we have a photo, so you can have a look at the photo to help you visualize him above the crown of your head. And I think those who are online, we have a photo on our WhatsApp chat, if that helps you. So he's about 6 inches tall above the crown of your head. He's seated on a lotus and full moon. His holy body is white, with one face and 2 arms. He holds a Vajra and a bell. He is adorned with 6 mudras and sits in the Vajra posture. So although you looked at a photo, try to, imagine him like as a living Vajrasattva, not in 2D, but like a real Vajrasattva above the crown of your head. His body is made of beautiful white light. Vajrasattva is my root guru, the holy mind of all the Buddhas, the Dharmakaya. Out of unbearable compassion, encompassing me and all other sentient beings, my root guru appears in this form to purify me and all sentient beings. Now we will apply the power of remedy, the actual recitation of the mantra. Let us try to maintain as best as we can while we recite the mantra, to maintain the visualization of Vajrasattva above the crown of our heads. And as we recite, imagine in the center of a moon disk at the heart of Vajrasattva stands a syllable hum. And this syllable hum is encircled by a garland of the 100-syllable mantra. As we recite, a powerful stream of white nectar flows from the hum and the mantra garland, entering the crown of my head and filling my entire body. All my negative karmas, obscurations, sicknesses, and spirit harms are completely purified. So one way to visualize this as you recite the mantra is that this purifying nectar from the heart of Vajrasattva and the mantra at his heart enters the crown of your head, and your body becomes completely filled with that nectar, and you can imagine that all your negative karmas, they leave your body from your lower pores. You can visualize them as black smoke, snakes and scorpions, and they are offered to the, you can imagine, to the crust of the planet. Another way is that it gradually fills your body from the feet to the top of your head, and the negativities, like it pours, your body like overflows with this nectar. A third option is you can imagine as you would turn on a light switch, immediately your body becomes completely filled, completely pure. Now, before we recite the mantra, let us read it once in English so that you actually know what you're reading. This is on page 13 at the bottom. So the mantra is in Sanskrit, and roughly the translation says, "You, Vajrasattva, have generated the holy mind of bodhicitta according to your samaya. Your holy mind is enriched with the simultaneously born holy action of liberating transmigratory beings from samsara. Whatever happiness and suffering, good and bad, happens to me, by my pleasing the holy mind, never give up on me and guide me. Please stabilize the realizations of the path and bhumis, including the happiness of the upper realms. Actualize all actions and the common and sublime realizations, and make the glory of the five wisdoms abide in my heart." So we can turn back to page 8. And so if this is the first time you're seeing this mantra, of course, you need to read it as you chant it. But even though you are looking at the paper with your eyes, try as best as you can with your mental consciousness to maintain this visualization of Vajrasattva and the nectar entering your body and purifying all your negative karmas. So we can recite for perhaps about 15 minutes, and we'll chant once together, and then we can chant at our own pace because we all have different speeds. No? We'll do once together, and then everybody in silence at our own pace because we have different speeds. No, and try at least to have some wind coming out of your mouth. If possible, if you have a mala, so then you have your mind is engaged with the visualization, your speech is engaged with the mantra, the wind that is coming out of your mouth, and your body is engaged with the mala. But yeah, if you don't have it, it's perfectly fine. Mostly we are dealing with the mind. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dvenopadita Drido Me Bhava Sutoshayo Me Bhava Suposhayo Me Bhava Anuragdo Me Bhava Sarva Siddhi Me Prayacha Sarva Karma Sucha Me Chidam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sarva Tathagata Vajra Mame Muncha Vajra Bhava Maha Samaya Sadva Ahom Om. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Vinova Tita Rido Me Bhava Sutoshayo Me Bhava Suposhayo Me Bhava Anurakto Me Bhava Sarva Siddhi Me Prayacha Sarva Karma Suchame Chitam Shriyam Kuruhum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sarva Tatha Gata Vaja Mame Munja Vaja Bhava Maha Samaya Sarva Ahunde. Now we can recite together towards the bottom of page 8. Through ignorance and delusion, I have broken and degenerated my commitments. Guru, be my savior and refuge. Lord, holder of the Vajra, endowed with great compassion, in you, the foremost of beings, I take refuge. And we can apply the final, the fourth opponent power, which is the power of restraint. Basically, we are making a pledge, like a promise to Vajrasattva, that in the future we will refrain from committing negative actions. We can think of negative actions that are easy for us to refrain from. For example, killing another human being, that's quite easy to refrain from, right? Then if you have a tendency, for example, to lie, you can make a realistic promise that for the next 5 minutes I will not lie. Or if you have a tendency to steal, you can say, for the next 5 minutes at least I will not steal. And for the next 5 minutes we'll be doing prayers. So I can guarantee you should work. So try to, as much as you can. And if you have vows, you can pledge to Guru Vajrasattva that you will keep your vows, and so on and so forth. We can recite together actually this verse and then mentally make our pledges. Before Guru Vajrasattva, I vow never again to commit those negative actions from which I can easily abstain. I vow not to commit those negative actions from which I find it difficult to abstain for, and then you can mention how long you can realistically refrain from doing these negative actions. From the crown of my head, Guru Vajrasattva says, Child of the lineage, your negative karmas, obscurations, and broken and degenerated samayas have been completely purified. Take a moment to generate strong faith that everything, all the negative karmas have been completely purified, just as Guru Vajrasattva has said. In a long Vajrasattva retreat that Lama Zopa Rinpoche led, he said that this part of the practice is actually very crucial, very important. Try to visualize as best as you can that all your negative karmas are gone, completely eliminated, purified. Try to even feel, lighter without all this burden, all this weight. Now visualize that Guru Vajrasattva is extremely pleased with your pledge, and he melts into light and absorbs into you, entering the crown of your head, And this light enters into you. Your body, speech, and mind become inseparably one with the holy body, speech, and mind of Guru Vajrasattva. Imagine what it would be like to be Vajrasattva yourself. Perfect power, perfect love, perfect knowledge. Imagine the vastness of that mind. Simultaneously apprehending conventional reality and the emptiness of objective existence of that conventional reality. Let us try to meditate on the emptiness of objective existence for a short while, thinking that in emptiness there is no I, the creator of negative karma. There is no action of creating negative karma, and there is no negative karma created. Try to place your mind in that emptiness for a little while. In this way, look at yourself and all phenomena as empty. They do not exist from their own side. They exist, they don't exist inherently. They exist in mere name. With this awareness of emptiness, let us dedicate the merits, whatever merits we might have accumulated by doing this practice, as well as all the merits of the 3 times of all the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, all the merits accumulated by all sentient beings in the 3 times. So that we might become perfectly awakened Buddhas soon, very soon, in order to liberate and guide sentient beings without leaving even one single mosquito behind. And we can read together at the bottom of page 8. We can read once in English and then we can chant as well in Tibetan. May the precious Supreme Bodhicitta, not yet born, arise. May that arisen not decline, but increase more and more. Jonju Sem Chorim Boje, Ma Gyeba Nam Gye Gyoroji, Gyeba Nyamba Me Ma Ye, Gone Gondor Be Warajo. Then we also pray for the long and healthy life of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, the true source of happiness and joy on this planet. May he live very long and continue to teach for a very long time in a healthy body. Incomparably kind and supreme Tenzin Gyatso, the wish-granting, wish-fulfilling jewel, source of every single benefit and happiness in this world, may you have a long life and all your holy wishes be spontaneously fulfilled. Then we can read at the bottom of the page to seal the merits with emptiness. Due to all the past, present, and future merits collected by me, the numberless Buddhas, and the numberless sentient beings, which are completely empty of existing from their own side, may I, who am completely empty of existing from my own side, achieve the state of Vajrasattva, which is completely empty of existing from its own side. And did all sentient beings who are completely empty of existing from their own side, to that state of Vajrasattva, which is completely empty of existing from its own side. By myself alone, where I'm completely empty of existing from my own side. And in these two verses, we can read once in English, and then once we can chant in Tibetan as well. I fully dedicate all these virtues to be able to train like the hero Manjushri, who knows reality, and just like Samantha Bhadra as well. I fully dedicate all my roots of virtue with the dedication praised as the best by all the all gone beyond victorious ones of the 3 times, in order to have good conduct. Jambe Bavajita Gembadan Kundas Ambodeyan Dejede Deda Kungil Jesoda Loijia Gewadi Tanchera Tungo Dusum Chepe Gewat Hancheki Ngowa Ganlai Chotunga Padi Dagi Gewe Tsawadi Kungyo Zomboy Jejira Tungowagi. Then we can turn to the prayers for the swift return of Lama Zopa Rinpoche. So for those who are joining for the first time, Lama Zopa Rinpoche was the founder of Tushita along with Lama Yeshe. And Tushita is part actually of a network of centers, projects and services all around the world. We have about 130 centers, services and projects. And so both of them co-founded this organization that is called the Foundation for the Preservation of the Mahayana Tradition. And last year, in April, Lama Zopa Rinpoche took the aspect of leaving his body, passing away. And so as you might know, in the Tibetan culture, when such an enlightened master takes the aspect of passing away, then we make prayers for him to come back in a fresh body and continue his activities. For example, His Holiness the Dalai Lama is known as the 14th Dalai Lama, the 14th incarnation. So similarly, we are asking Rinpoche to come back and continue to teach us, continue to guide us, and continue to lead the whole organization. So this prayer is actually composed by His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Peerless teacher and assembly of the children of the victorious ones, Shravakas and Pratyekya Buddhas, victorious Losang, father and sons, along with the lineage masters, all the objects of refuge of infinite lands, please bestow the virtue and goodness of accomplishing this prayer here and now. Holding and spreading the Muni's precious and complete teachings through explanation and practice, you wore the armor of patience. Incomparable Venerable Guru, to you I make request. While striving single-pointedly for the sake of the victorious one's teachings, the sole gateway through which all benefit and happiness emerge, and for mother living beings, you suddenly departed to peace. What a great loss! Nevertheless, to the undeceiving truth of the blessings of the ocean of the 3 jewels, and the great ways of bodhicitta of the children of the victorious ones, may the smile of a reincarnation swiftly beam in glory for fortunate disciples. Finally, we can also dedicate so that all the wars that are happening around the world immediately come to an end. May there be no new war. May there be no famine. May there be no epidemic. May there be no natural disasters, catastrophes of the elements. May there be no financial crisis. And may peace and harmony prevail in everybody's hearts and lives. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming this evening and for joining online. And we will see you on Saturday. Saturday we have Venerable Dr. Puja Dabral, also known as Venerable Tenzin Choying, who will give us a talk on the antidotes to anger, based on the 6th chapter, the chapter on patience from the Bodhicharya Avatara, the guide to the Bodhisattva's way of life from Bodhisattva Shantideva. Shantideva was one of these Nalanda masters in present-day Bihar, Nalanda University, a great saint and scholar. And so he's giving us many tools, to help us with anger, to counteract anger. So this will happen only online because actually she's teacher there at the new Nalanda University in Bihar. So she will teach from there, but we can all join on Zoom. And then next week we have a couple of special guest teachers as well. We have on Monday David Marks, who was a monk for many decades, actually an Australian teacher. So he will teach on how to integrate the Buddha's teachings in our busy everyday lives. And then on Wednesday, we'll have a French teacher, François Chic, who will teach on the three wisdoms of listening, reflecting, and meditating based on a text by Abongkar Rinpoche. So you're very welcome. Those both Monday and Wednesday will be in person as well as on Zoom. They will come here. And Tuesday, we continue with the 16 guidelines meditations. And then, as usual, Monday to Friday, 9 a.m., we have our morning meditation happening only on Zoom at the moment. But from mid-October, we will resume in person as well. We have a new resident volunteer who is going to join from Ladakh. So she's going to come mid-October, and she will also do the meditations in the morning in person. Thank you very much, and have a good night. See you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.